And good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Speed Gaming 2. We are back with some more action in the ALTTPR League Season 3. I am Cool Papa Bell 2282, and commentating alongside me tonight is Ben Creighton. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing excellent. I am looking forward to seeing some of just about the highest level Link to the Past randomizer you can get. We have two stacked teams here in front of us. This will be both of their first runs in this particular season of League. So anything can and will happen. I'm excited.
Yeah, of course, the league this year is divided into the Invitational and the Open League. So the Invitational League is just stacked across the board, really. It's got people who've performed well in previous seasons of the league, so it's just going to be top competition pretty much as far as the eye can see in the Invitational League. So yeah, we've got Goomba and Linlinlin for the last locationers. They are stalwarts. I think they've been in all three seasons of the league now. And then shadyforce and zelgadissan representing the spoilers.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, Goomba and Linlinlin are currently, as of the time of this stream, the number 1 and number 2 placed on the ALTTPR ladder. So they're the team to beat here.
Yeah, especially in Key Sanity. Goomba won both of the Key Sanity championships in season 3 of the ladder, and Lin won Cross Keys, as well as the recent Cross Keys tournament that just wrapped up. But of course, Shady and Zelga are no slouches either. I would not really be surprised to see this match go either way. Like we said, just really top-notch competition here. I'm excited to see this one shake out.
Absolutely. I don't think there's going to be any such thing as an easy match in the Invitational League this season. Now, this week 1 is co-op info share, so both teams, the spoilers on the left-hand side and the last locationers on the right, both duos are in a Discord call, sharing information, splitting up checks. It is also an all-dungeon seed, so can't skip pendants, can't even skip AGA 1. Everything's getting done here tonight.
Yeah, and if you have not played any co-op info share seeds out there, you should definitely try it. It is a ton of fun. Giving your partner some guff on the chat, making them do all the terrible checks that you don't want to do, like catfish. It's a great way to play rando.
Absolutely. And lest you think it's an easy mode, remember that skipping checks means a lot more low percentage situations, and we are off.
So we got Powder in Link's house. Looks like we see a little bit of divergence here. Both teams have one person starting in Sank, heading toward CAC from there. Zelga, it looks like, is going to take the south route to CAC immediately, try and pick up some bombs along the way, whereas Lin is going to start at Uncle.
No love from the tree pole. Let's see if Zelga has any luck, and he does find a couple of bombs heading off into the village, as both of our topmost runners looks like they're going to be giving us a look into Lumberjack.
And a sword on Uncle. That means Lin has the option of going straight into front of Escape. Was that a Master Sword? A Master Sword in the Uncle in the Secret Passage.
I'm going to wait for confirmation from our eagle-eyed trackers on that one.
Yep, there are some sword beams. Okay, 1 minute Master Sword.
Oh. This is already a great seed.
And this is definitely what you're really hoping for as an Uncle starter, routing up this way and getting a weapon of some kind to be able to head into front of Escape right away. And then that just makes that trip more efficient, and then your partner can cover all of Kakariko while you're doing Escape.
And it looks like Shady and Goomba are finding the lamp in the Lost Woods, so no darkroom shenanigans tonight.
Whoa, what is happening? Lin finding half magic, Moon Pearl in the chicken hut. Seed is being extremely generous up front.
Man, not often you find that Moon Pearl first out of your 3. I mean, I suppose it has to happen 1/3 of the time. But we do need 3 items for Dark World, and that's 1/3 of it right there.
And the spoilers are into those two lucrative piles of chests in Kakariko between the Well and Blind's Hut. Got 10 checks in rapid succession, and not a whole lot there from the looks of things, just some health.
We did also get a 300 rupee stack, which reveals from everyone's favorite Beturbed Merchant the Ether Medallion. And Lin is the only one heading into Escape. Let's see. No love in Escape. Or rather, 1/4 of a teeny tiny little piece of love.
And Shady is going to dip into the well just long enough to get that 300 and a full heart. Zelga's going to grab the lamp from the hideout, and then they will probably be done. Oh, yes, Ether there for Shady as well, but that'll be most of what they want out of Kakariko after this Moon Pearl.
And Lin giving us a quick peek at Lake Hylia Island, revealing the bow will be available there once we find the Flippers, Mirror, and Dark World access.
And this is very nice for Lin that he found enough cash to be able to head to that shop in Hylia, grab some bombs, and looks like he's headed straight to Saha from there. We'll see how that bow affects the decision on whether to go into Eastern Palace or not.
And the old man hiding a mushroom, as Zelga gives us our first look at the South Shore checks.
Fetch quests galore, as we have powder and mushroom already.
Always nice to find those two early.
I did not see that before. Hook shot in the library.
Ooh, I missed that as well. Hopefully that means some early boots.
So he just wants to show us all the items as well. And yeah, Lin doing a quick fake flipper there up to the witch's hut to turn in this mushroom. Looks like Goomba is now going to head up to the castle to grab his swords.
That is one of the nice things about co-ops. Those out-of-the-way fetch quests become a little easier to justify when you can go ahead and save your partner the trip to get that fetch quest item in the first place.
And yes, Chad is pointing out that Goomba does have the option to just go to Aga immediately if he wants to. With the lamp and the Master Sword, it is fully in logic. And with all dungeons, it's not as much of a sacrifice to do it when it's not strictly required for Dark World access. Obviously, there are benefits to doing it later when you're better equipped.
That's true, but with these particular runners, I don't think any of them are afraid of a low percent Aga play. And if that winds up paying off with something nice sitting in Pod or in Catfish even, that could be a very nice play.
All right, so this makes sense. As Zelga is hitting up South Shore for the spoilers, Lin is doing the same thing. Goomba is going to go ahead and go all the way through Dark Cross to the back of Escape and see what we can find there.
Only a quick medallion for Zelga and Linlin's troubles there in Minimold.
And Shady is going to be right behind Goomba in heading back to the sewers after a nice quick death warp out of the cell. But it looks like we will stop at Dark Cross without having the small key, and Goomba is headed right back toward Aga 1 with... where is he going? Now I'm confused.
I believe there's a half magic waiting for him down here.
Oh, no, he's going to go steal a key and check back.
That makes sense. He wants to see what's in the back of Escape here. And that was Flippers in Dark Cross.
Apparently not stealing a key, just grabbing that half magic for convenience.
Yeah, that's... Not sure how I feel about that half magic play. It's a bit of a gamble whether it will wind up being of enough use over the course of the rest of the run to justify the time. Certainly a nice peace of mind thing to have in your back pocket in any case, especially with no bottles quite yet.
All right, so an interesting decision from the last locationers. Despite finding those flippers in Dark Cross, they do seem to be deciding that Aga 1 is the way to go for Goomba. Lin might be just grabbing those flippers, and then we'll go do the flipper checks while Goomba is climbing Aga Tower.
And it looks like Shady is beelining for a Eastern Palace play. 3 checks in there, potentially, but will not be able to complete until that bow becomes attainable.
And our runners, of course, are facing the same decision that you get so often at the start of a rando seed, like when do I go to Aga 1? How many checks do I completely exhaust? Like, do I clear out Eastern Palace? And kind of looks like teams are opting for a little bit of each, since you can send your 2 runners in different directions.
Definitely a good feeling being able to hedge your bets.
And so far, the Eastern play not really paying off. That's 2 items already. Just some health and big 20. Zelga. Yeah, second sword that he seems to have forgotten the first time around.
Oops.
Also an important thing there, Lin grabbing that 300 out of the well, that puts him at Zora money, so he can cash that in while doing the other flipper checks. And it looks like the spoilers are trying really hard to avoid doing Aga 1 right now, so opting for a different route than the last locationers, as Zelga did go ahead and steal that key, and looks like he's going to take it all the way back to the back of Escape. This is out of logic, since he could have used that key to get all the way down to Zelda's cell, so this is not in logic without gloves, but if you can find the hammer or something back there that might save you some time, can definitely be worth the sequence break.
Absolutely, and Goomba has just finished up his Aga 1 and deciding to peace out after checking the pyramid. And just $40 in the back of Escape, as well as the key, which logically locked them away. Getting a bit of near sync on the top screens here as Shadyforce and Goomba make their way through the flipper checks. Not much to get excited about under the bridge.
Yeah, and with the equipment that they have, there is nothing else available in the Dark World but going into Pod without hammer or bow, because we cannot get across the north part of the river without that hook shot, which is locked behind boots, and Zora just has 10 arrows for us.
That's right. With no bottle, a trip into Pod is an iffy proposition. The entire thing might wind up being boots locked with. I was about to say no way to get around it. That would be true if I was playing. I'm sure these guys know their mimic clip, though.
That is always an option as a last resort if you want it. And so, yeah, it looks like we are down to either front of Pod or Agina's cave for where this progression is going to be. And the last locationers are checking both of those at once as Zelga is doing his trip up Aga 1 and Shady finishing up the last of those flipper checks.
And it looks like Zelga did pick up a bottle somewhere. I must have missed it. So that does put Sick Kid into logic as one more possible check. Linlinlin giving us our first look at Agina. Ah, that would be that bottle.
That would do it. So yes, now Shady also, spoilers, that means are 100% aware that their progression is in the Dark World somewhere. So Shady is heading up to Aga Tower at about the same time that Lin is. So this is by contrast where co-op seeds start to feel very frustrating when you sort of get funneled into one area and you and your partner are forced to sort of do the same thing, right? So Lin is pretty much just following in Goomba's footsteps at this point, since the extra light world checks that he was sort of assigned for the team didn't really pan out to anything. Same with Shady and Zelga.
Speaking of fetch quests, Goomba picking up a shovel inside Pod. And yeah, this is definitely when you want to, if you're the runner who's ahead of your partner, you want to be extra thorough. You want to try to find ways that they can make up some time so that you can split up your routing again as soon as possible.
Yeah, so it looks like we are going to see the mimic clip here from Goomba. So for those of you who have not seen this one before, when those mimics start moving, like their first frame of movement, they don't have collision detection. So you just sort of do one frame of right movement using that pause buffer and clip them into the wall a little bit, then move them up or down to sort of lock them in, and then you just repeat that until they get very far into the wall and don't know what to do with themselves and just run off the screen.
Yes, indeed. One of our more time-consuming glitches it's possible to do at this point, but with Goomba so far ahead of Linlinlin, might as well spend the time. And in answer to a question in chat, the teams are scored by the average of their two runners' times. So even once they're in go mode, even once one of them is finished, execution on the lagging partner's part does make a difference.
Yeah, there have been some co-op tournaments, particularly in the SMZ3 combo randomizer, where it was whichever team's last place person finished first, right? So the last team to completely finish, or first team to completely finish, rather. But here it will be average time. And yeah, that mimic clip did not really net anything for Goomba, so he will be heading back to the back of Pod, and we'll see what we can find here in the basement.
Yes, indeed. Got him. Merely a small key, which, if I'm reading my key logic right, means that progression does have to be in the dark basement. Or right here in Turtle Room, I suppose.
I mean, I think we all want the progression to be the shovel at this point, right? Maybe not the runners, but
I mean, as spectators, we can wish for as much troll as we want. And at this point, proving me a fool, Goomba has found all of the small keys he'll be needing, as well as the big key. And there's our progression. That's the flute, which does put, well, potentially progression. It puts what? 1 check? 2 checks on the mountain in logic, as well as a third sword.
Zelga, meanwhile, is showing off the other most common way to get through this room without a bow, the potion camera unlock. So you mess with the camera a little bit, make it so none of the mimics are on screen, and the game seems to think that that means they're dead and opens the door for you.
Yes, indeed. Much quicker way to accomplish that particular sequence break, although you do have to spend the contents of a bottle to get through there. As the shovel results in some buried boots.
Oh, and there's the hook shot as a result. So Goomba will head straight over there to grab that hook shot. I'm going to have to think about the pod key logic for just a second here, because there was a key on the right-hand side, and normally the back is only in logic with 4 keys. So I'm not sure if the back is bow locked at this point.
So that hook shot opens up East Death Mountain. It also raises the possibility of a trip around the map and to Dark Village area.
Yeah, pretty much everything is open to the runners at this point, except the mire area.
But with no hammer and not even one of our 2 progressive gloves, some of these places that have just been potentially put into logic represent a bit of a hike. And in answer to a question in chat, the flute plus lamp do put the old man who Goomba is currently rescuing into logic, even if the gloves are still hidden. And that old man is holding a hammer.
That is a good find to get right away off of that flute. And it kind of feels like right now this is seed is opening up quite a bit. Our two teams have been pretty close to each other, getting through AGA 1 and finding what they need in Palace of Darkness. But now between those boots, the hammer, the flute, we can get a lot of places in this world. So we will see how our routes start to diverge between the two teams.
Absolutely. In a solo seed, this would still be pretty linear. It's hard to argue with the check density of these East Death Mountain locations that Goomba's currently in, but in co-op, where it's usually to your advantage to split up, we might see some more circuitous routing.
Sick Kid giving us another bottle.
Paradox Cave with a whole bunch of nothing.
And a little bit unfortunate as Zelga has gone ahead up the mountain without getting the boots and hook shot. With flute, that won't be too much of a concern, though, since he will just be able to flute back up the mountain pretty quickly. Nice spin speed there from shadyforce, the NMG strats for that screen.
And Zelga, having gotten a bit of information from his co-runner here, he's off to get those boots. You don't put those off for very long once you know where they are. Goomba showing off a spin speed Harapot, or at least attempting to get into position for one. Looks like he's having a bit of trouble. This involves getting into a specific pixel where one can use the hook shot to clip into this pot, and there he's got it.
Yeah, and even if the spin speed or hook speed takes you a little bit of time there, it still feels faster than any of the bomb setups where you sort of have to wait for the bombs to explode and just feels like it takes forever. All right, so here is that divergence we were looking for. The last locationers seem to be betting hard on Death Mountain, as Lin is up there rescuing the old man right now, whereas Zelga is going to take that hook shot and hammer that he got off the old man and now head over to the West Dark World. Okay, Lin is doing the same, just grabbing that hammer first.
And it looks like our fourth sword, the fabled butter sword, is going to be hiding in Bumper Cave, probably for the rest of the match.
And Goomba made some quick work of Moldorm, not surprising with the Tempered Sword. That's a pretty fast fight. And it does have to do the basement here to get the big key, since the last item in Tower of Hera does seem to be in the big chest. Vanilla Big Key there from Zelga in Skull Woods. Nicely getting grabbed by the Wall Master to get pulled back out of the dungeon there.
It looks like Linlinlin took some time out to grab a couple of out-of-the-way checks before wending his own way towards the West Dark World.
And just some more rupees there from Goomba, who will go ahead and Death Warp out of Tower of Hera. And Zelga finds the single arrow in Skull Woods and will be done there, not having found much of interest. We'll just continue down to the Village of Outcasts and then the south part of Dark World, which seems to be where our progression is. Shady just a little bit behind in finishing off Hera. Ooh, gets hit by Moldorm there and falls into that middle hole. That is definitely a time-consuming hit from the worm there. It can sometimes be a little bit hard to tell who exactly is ahead in a co-op run like this, because as we saw, Goomba had to make a special trip to Mini Moldorm Cave to grab that Quake medallion, and Last Locationers also have not checked the back of Escape, which I was about to say is where Lynn is going right now, except no, that doesn't work because they've killed Aga. So he is just going to wind his way around to the West Dark World. Oh, no, or hello. He'll take the easy way with that hammer and head down to Hype Cave first.
Just a Bombos medallion in Hype Cave, so no worries about getting into T-Rock or Mire today. Meanwhile, Zelga potentially giving us our next bit of progression as they're heading into Thieves Town. Goomba also giving us a look at some new checks in Stumpy and Dig Game over here. And there's the other bow.
All right, so that will be silver arrows waiting on the Lake Hylia Island if we wind up there. And Goomba finds the blue cane there at the Dig Game. I think that all that really does for us is to put Spike Cave into logic.
Well, as soon as we find a glove, it'll put Spike Cave into logic.
That's very true. Chat already calling out. I hope they remember they can't lift that rock. Apparently I didn't.
Fortunately, gloves not required to get past the big block in Thieves Town. That can be circumvented by killing all the enemies in the room. And there is our first glove in the Maiden's chest.
Sort of French vanilla-ish kind of glove.
Would that be French-Canadian vanilla?
I like it. I like it.
Meanwhile, looks like Linlinlin has come up with a fire rod. Looks like that might have come out of the tavern in Dark Village. Or brewery, rather. Zelga making short work of blind, picking up 20 bucks and another crystal. Another crystal for the spoilers. Zelga's first.
And I believe this is the first trip into Eastern Palace on the last locationer's side. But Goomba will have the bow, so this will be a single dip for him, which is always convenient.
I believe there is still an item left to be found on the Armos Knights.
And there's now the first fire rod found on the spoilers side, so they will both be well equipped with that glove and fire rod very soon.
Zelga opting to take that fire rod self, apparently leaving it to Shadyforce to head north into Skull Woods.
Yeah, I believe spoilers have not seen Hype Cave yet, so Zelga will be probably a little bit disappointed when he gets there. But that bow is definitely a good find, and he's going to put the spoilers one step closer to their go mode. Still feels like a decent way off from go mode for where we are in this race. We've got Cane, Mirror, Ice Rod, and Mitts to find.
Yes, indeed. And the way the pendants are laid out, all of that will need to be found before GT is accessible. So it doesn't look like we'll be turning around from GT this time. Goomba machine guns down those Armos Knights for a 10-arrow refund and his second crystal.
And another new check on the spoiler side, as Zelga is going to show us Catfish. And Lynn did pull out the blue potion there for that blind fight. I was about to point out a second ago that the bottom runners on the bottom half of your screen there are both running a very low percent race at this point, sitting on 5 and 6 hearts and green mail, which is very often the way it goes in co-op. One person finds all the health and says, oh yeah, don't bother going to pick that up. And then, you're halfway through the game with 5 hearts.
True enough, although if anything, our bottom runners might be in better shape with 3 bottles apiece, whereas their compatriots have no safeties in their back pocket. Shadyforce taking down Blind with half a heart to his name. And as our runners cover each other's tracks a bit here, this seems like a good time to thank our lovely trackers, our lovely commentators, or rather my lovely co-commentator. I shouldn't thank myself, it's rude. And all 4 of these runners, please give them a follow. They're putting on a great show for our benefit here today.
Yeah, and be sure to check out ALTTPRleague.com for more info about the league. We are just in week 1, so plenty more action left to go in season 3. And of course, shout outs to the SpeedGaming channel for hosting great rando action and all the other good stuff that shows up on these SpeedGaming Twitch channels. So be sure to stay tuned here as well. And now is the first look at the back of Escape for the last locationers.
I'm trying to think where our progression might be hiding at this point. I believe there are still checks left to be found in Skullwoods. We haven't seen what's hiding behind Helmasaur quite yet.
Yeah, I think we have both of the items out of Skull Woods. Yeah, that glove now does give us Spike Cave and Helmasaur. I'm not seeing anything because we can't finish Mire for the red crystals. Green Pendant is ice, which is not in logic without the mitts, of course.
We're going to need either a book or a mirror for Desert Palace. Our list is getting pretty short.
Yeah, it feels to me like Helma is the answer, and Lin seems to agree because he's headed back into Palace of Darkness right now.
Well, he knows he's got to do Helma sooner or later, whereas Spike Cave is potentially skippable. So this would seem to be the play.
Teams are also very even on dungeons at this point. Both of them just about to wrap up their 4th between the 2 runners.
Yes, it's been a pretty close race so far. Relatively linear seed, all things considered, or at least both of our teams have found themselves funneled down into the same near last location. And when it all comes down to execution, it's hard to get much of an edge with this sort of competitive field.
Very nice Dark Turtles room out of Lin there. And yeah, it seems like the seed really wanted you to dip into pod for the shovel, go grab your bow, boots to hook shot, to some craziness, but somehow you had to double dip pod and then like head right back into pod as soon as you got that bow, if that's where our progression is.
Well, we're going to learn in short order here because Zelga's heading into Spike Cave. just as Linlinlin finishes up his Helmasaur fight.
Let's see who the winner is on this progression.
It was Spike Cave with the mirror.
So big find for the spoilers there. That mirror opens up. Swamp Palace is the big one. A couple of overworld checks in Cave 45 and the Graveyard Ledge. But Zelga going right into Swamp at this point.
Yes, indeed, with count 'em, 6 items to be found in here. This is definitely where the item density is leading him. And Linlin's going to be making that same discovery in just a few moments here, as Goomba takes the opportunity to knock out a boss fight and kill him off.
And Lin is going to finish off the last of these overworld checks, it looks like. Oh, it's headed right up to Graveyard Ledge. As we have also got the King's Tomb that we can check with that mirror now.
Not a bad play if you're feeling a little bit ahead of your co-runner. Go ahead and check a couple of the more out-of-the-way spots and give them a chance to catch up a little bit.
Although Goomba does have 4 dungeons completed, since he went back and cleaned up a couple of those while Lin was checking the overworld locations. Oh, Mitts in the Graveyard Ledge.
That is a big find for the last locationers.
Yeah, I felt like the spoilers had a little bit of an edge in sort of guessing right on the Helma versus Spike Cave. But Lin checking those extra overworld locations before chasing the mirror into Swamp. Really big find on the last locationer side. We will see if Shady does the same. You have to think that might be the case, since Zelga is deep into Swamp Palace at this point. Ooh, showing off the hook clip through the blocks there. Very nicely done.
Meanwhile, Goomba following Zelga into Swamp Palace. And a whole bunch of nothing on the left side of Swamp.
Wow, map and compass on the left side of Swamp.
Those are 2 checks that you often see skipped in solo seeds. Little harder to justify when you've got 2 people to throw at it. But Zelga just went straight there, didn't even bother checking the canals first.
Yeah, that's actually the dream setup for Swamp, since you can just go straight to the back, check everything along the way, and know that the left side is empty, but Also saves you time to check it right away because of the key situation in Swamp. So sort of a toss-up sometimes.
Yes, indeed. You often see runners doing what Goomba is doing right now, checking those first two checks first before making the decision whether to check left side now, put it off until potentially last, or skip it altogether.
That was a turn of events from Zelga there. Used his last bomb to pull off the diver down glitch, so had to get it that time or else it wasn't going to happen, and then immediately finds the red cane, which is the other item that allows you to pull off that glitch. Same from Goomba, using the last bomb to clip into the water there.
Meanwhile, on the lower right, Linlin, being our only runner to have collected the Titans so far, is giving us our first look into the Desert Mire area. And as chat rightly points out, it looks like we have a good old-fashioned ice rod hunt on our hands today.
Yes, we do. And of course, the spoilers are still looking for those mitts, but getting stuck on mitts is not the worst thing because there are only so many places they could be. So, they're not going to get stuck diving into ice or Misery Mire or Turtle Rock looking for mitts because you just can't get there without those mitts. And so it looked like shadyforce sort of paused to think there for a second, right as Zelga had finished off the big chest in Swamp. So they might be talking about where those mitts have to be. We'll see where Shady goes next.
This would be the portal to use to get there.
Yeah, so it seems like they have done the deduction, eliminated all the possibilities, and they know that graveyard ledge has to be important to them. And Lin clears dungeon number 8 for the last locationers. Quick landmo fight with those silver arrows, of course.
Goomba taking time out to collect those silver arrows from the Lake Hylia Island. Hard to fault him knowing that Vitreous and, of course, Ganon are still ahead of him. The two bosses that silvers save a whole lot of time on. Zelga pulling out his mirror, heading to the graveyard ledge. The spoilers will have caught up with the locationers on items in just a moment here.
I do think we do see the last locationers pulling just a little bit ahead overall, because Goomba is going to collect his mitts here as well. And on the dungeon count, the last locationers are one ahead at the moment. Again, Shady is very close to finishing off Mothula.
Yes, indeed. And Goomba saved his team a good bit of time with the gamble skipping left side swamp. That's a bit of a double or nothing play. Now they know that neither of them need to do it.
And yeah, that Mitt's knowledge that Goomba had while he was in Swamp definitely coming in handy.
Now, the big question at this point is if Ice Rod is hiding in mire or ice, the team that finds it first will be able to go mode the other dungeon, and those are two dungeons that you can save a goodly amount of time when you're able to do them in go mode, depending on key layout in mire especially.
Although, of course, with Kane in play, Ice Palace becomes a whole lot faster. I think they would probably be there were it not for the Mire Desert Palace combo that you want to do. Oh, really nice Mire, too, from Goomba there. Getting all those Wizrobes on the first cycle makes that room so much faster.
The normal value proposition of mire and ice. A little off in this particular seed, mire being one of the red crystals will open up the 2 checks in the Pyramid Fairy. Ice Palace being green pendant will open up an additional check.
And if you needed a better demonstration of the level that we're going to see out of the Invitational League, there was another pretty much perfect Mire 2 room from Zelga. So yeah, with the mitts being one of our last items before this ice rod, we are looking at Mire, Ice Palace, or things behind the Smith's chain for where that ice rod could be. And you're always just hoping that you're going to stumble into that ice rod before you have to do something ridiculous like dip Turtle Rock without it. But that is a gamble that can pay off huge if you guess right on that one. So
Yes, indeed. You've also got the 2 checks in Super Bunny and all of Hookshot Cave before you even have to set foot into Turtle Rock. So that would certainly be where the check density is the tightest.
I don't know about you. This is where I would get stubborn and just decide I'm going to do everything down the mountain before I climb the mountain again, hoping to find that ice rod before I go back up the mountain. I will not comment on how often that goes badly for me.
Yeah, that's... Oof. It's really a coin flip. It's hard to fault a runner going either way. Of course, it being a co-op seed, the runners could go both ways, should they so desire. Linlinlin pulling off a nice silver arrow finish on their Argus fight.
It just feels to me like, ooh, Zelga taking a death there in Misery Mire. Unfortunately, not too far down toward the basement, so it won't be very long to get back to where he was, but that is definitely a little bit of a time loss. But yeah, as I was saying, it just feels like you gain so much from not having to go up and down the mountain, from not having to make those extra checks on the mountain when you're already on tempered silvers. That I don't know. I just personally really like betting on something down the mountain in this particular case. But Rando is going to Rando, as the saying goes.
Goomba pulling a blue goo off of the big eyeball in the basement of Mire. As Linlin gives us our first look into Ice Palace. It looks like last locationers might be putting themselves in a position where the two next logical moves are Smith Chain or sucking it up and climbing that mountain. Generally speaking, I'm with you, and I like to put off that mountain climb as much as possible. In a co-op seed, though, you could definitely make the argument for sending at least one person up the mountain so that if you do get the dream scenario, you know it as soon as possible.
Yeah, and this is where the timing of the race really comes into play, right? Because depending on the format, you might have, if it were the first team to finish, then Goomba would certainly be doing all these extra overworld checks while Lin just clears dungeons. But since you're trying to minimize your overall time between the two runners, you really just want to sort of, take your bet on where the item is going to be and make the move that you think is just going to minimize that time overall.
And it looks like shadyforce is in Mini Moldorm Cave collecting his Quake Medallion. This could be him ensuring that he has Turtle Rock access for that mountain climb that we've been talking about for, it feels like, about 10 minutes here.
Yeah, and Quake actually is that Meyer medallion, so that might be the only one they need, depending.
And since he's in the area, let's go ahead and grab those silvers. Make life easy on ourselves.
Yeah, this is a nice transition into Ice Palace from here. And so last locationers do pull just ahead. That's the 11th dungeon completed on their side as Goomba finishes up Desert. Again, Zelga is not too far behind on that, but every time we hit one of these marks, it is always the last locationers just barely ahead on those dungeon completions.
Yes, indeed. And Linlin is just about to enter their cold stare fight, so they're about to put another notch under their belt unless things go real south here. Linlin taking a couple of hits from those cold stare puffs, but whips out the fire rod and makes short work as Goomba pulls out the big red bomb. They definitely seem to be avoiding that mountain climb until the very last chance.
And if they want to spend more time down the mountain, they've got options. I mean, with Ice and Pod in play, that puts Green Pendant and Lin could go pull the pedestal right now if he really feels like it.
Just $20 in exchange for that green pendant. And could it be Goomba having some dead rock troubles, but he is on the mountain. As Linlin moves into the Smith chain.
And I mean, it's really hard to argue with the play here. I mean, they're not betting super hard one direction or the other. They're playing for item density, clear dungeons when you can. But when Goomba knows that there's nothing good in Ice Palace, that there's no reason for him to go there right now, he is going to go ahead and chase this item density up the mountain and probably make the TR dip if he has to, even without that ice rod.
Yep, and with Ice Palace being only a pendant, he could just do that after GT. He could grab Ice Rod up here somewhere, kill Trinex, go do GT and then worry about the pendants later.
And Super Bunny not the answer. We will see about Hookshot Cave.
And there it is, final chest of Hookshot Cave, putting the last locationers in go mode at just under 1 hour and 3 minutes.
So I think, yeah, what you said before probably factored most into this decision for Goomba to head to the mountain now was that his crystals were all done so that if he found the ice rod up here, he could just go straight to Ganon's tower from here. So I think that's really smart routing on their side. So now Lin will be able to fully go mode a couple of dungeons. The Meyer Big Key is relatively accessible in that map chest on the right side.
And it looks like Zelga's making the mountain play, so they will be not far behind the last locationers into go mode here. Last locationers definitely having the edge as we head into the final few laps of this race. And the way both Goomba and Linlin have been playing, it would take some pretty major execution errors on their part to lose much of a lead now.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see all of these runners, once they hit go mode, just sort of kick it up into another gear. You know, prior to that point, you're always thinking, talking with your partner about what you're going to do next. And once you hit go mode, you just put the pedal down and go crazy. And I love watching great runners like this once they hit that point in the race.
Absolutely. It is a really nice feeling to be able to release your mind from worries about item logic and just let muscle memory take over. Ooh, and it looks like Zelga is heading into Turtle Rock before checking... Oh, no. Okay. Gave me a heart attack there. He's turning around. He is checking Hookshot Cave.
And he will be in a similar spot to Goomba. Does still have Tower of Hera to finish, but obviously can just mirror to that. Head straight into GT from there, so he will not need an extra mountain climb either.
Goomba opting to bypass the Turtle Rock big chest, it looks like.
Yeah, this is a pretty common play to make, to skip the lava chest and the big chest. It is possible for there to be two small keys in those two chests, and then you have to do a lot of backtracking, and it feels real bad The way the fill algorithm works, though, it's like a 2 or 3% chance of happening, so it's a pretty common gamble to take.
Well, being in go mode, he was able to go ahead and steal the key, so not much danger in orphaning that lava chest.
Oh, down to the last chest on Laser Bridge.
And the gamble pays off.
I just want to make Goomba sweat just a little bit there. Man, this is still a really close race. So if you sort of compare, Goomba and Zelga are sort of comparable where they are. Goomba definitely ahead by a fair bit there. Zelga has Tower of Hera left to finish, plus the rest of Turtle Rock to get through. Admittedly, with Hera Pot, that's about a minute to get through Tower of Hera.
Yeah, don't blink when he gets to that point. You might miss it.
But then Shady definitely has a little bit of a lead on Lin, about the same thing, because I suspect that they will be finishing up their respective dungeons, Eastern and Myra, at about the same time. Lin will probably be a little bit ahead, finishing up Eastern compared to Shady and Myra. But then Lin will still have Tower of Hera to do when they make their respective mountain trips. And yes, thanks to Drossi, our setup helper today, who started the GT Big Key guessing game. Get those guesses in chat very quickly, because Goomba is headed there right now. One of 22 locations where that GT Big Key might be. And if you guess right, you win some very important and valuable internet points.
I always bet 2, because, you know, that first one's got to have a small key. Still need the small key for the GT climb.
That's a good call.
See, I was right. Small key. Aww. Looks like Goomba opting to take that small key and head right side. While shadyforce treats us to a very pretty zero-cycle Vitreous fight. Very easy to do with the silver arrows, but always nice to see it done as efficiently as humanly possible.
Yeah, and I was wrong there. Shady finishing just ahead of Lin. I had forgotten that Lin still had to go the long way around to get that big key out of Eastern Palace. So Shady just barely ahead of Lin, finishing off that crystal.
Zelga knocking out his Trinex, making it look easy.
That is check number 7, by the way, that Goomba just walked past. No big key yet.
Linlinlin only about 2 screens behind shadyforce as they make their climb up to Turtle Rock. But of course, Linlin's going to have to peace out for Tower of Hera before heading into GT.
Yeah, so if you figure those Towers of Hera between Lin and Zelga are about equal, that means the last locationers are ahead by approximately the amount of time that Goomba has been in GT, which is not too long, maybe about 2 minutes. So still a really close race here as Goomba does find that GT big key in, let me think here, check number 12.
Check number 12 are eagle-eyed trackers confirm. Congrats to Laconic Shock for correctly guessing.
Those were some really nice mimic rooms out of Goomba. He is on a tear here through Ganon's Tower.
Taking no prisoners. Meanwhile, Zelga, I told you not to blink. That's a Moldorm down.
Yeah, I made the mistake of watching 2 rooms of Goomba in Ganon's Tower, and I pretty much missed the whole Tower of Hera from Zelga.
Things go so fast at this stage, there is no safe space to watch because odds are there's something interesting happening in one of the other 3 screens.
Goomba pulling out his blue pot there was down to just a heart and a half. Worth noting, all of our runners still on green mails. We have not seen a single armor upgrade to this point.
Yes, indeed, and unusually for being the first person to enter GT, Goomba, the healthiest of our runners, with a nice 12 hearts to his name. So he's in a slightly better position.
Ooh, and Zelga making the right choice. Is going full left in Ganon's Tower, so we'll find that GT big key a little bit sooner than Goomba did.
That's a chance for the spoilers to make up a little bit of time. Will it be enough? Oh, and he's going Dark Magician.
Ooh.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Meanwhile, Goomba heading through the last few fairly easy rooms of the gauntlet and towards his Moldorm 2 fight, letting nothing stand between him and that triple wizard.
And Goomba not checking any checks at the top of the tower. Does not care about that blue mail. Not worth the time to go looking for it. And this will be the GT big key on Zelga's side. An underrated facet of execution, by the way, is being clean on that quick swap, which has become a bit more of the standard in most modes now, particularly in the ladder. That was a very quick 3 taps of the L button to get from the hook shot to the mirror and right out of the room there from Zelga after finding the big key.
Absolutely. We all think quick swap just means no menuing ever, I don't have to think about it, it's easy, until you pick it up and try it, and then you realize, no, this is a skill that needs learning, like anything else. And speaking of the mirror, Goomba pulls his out because we've still got some pendants to take care of before he heads into his Ganon fight.
And of course, with Aga Tower down, he will be able to just save and quit out of whichever dungeon he finishes last, which looks like it's going to be Palace of Darkness. So saving and quitting from the Dark World with the Mirror and Aga dead will, of course, start you back on top of the pyramid. Downside of that being that you will go into the Ganon fight on 5 or 6 hearts. Not many. Ooh, nice recovery from Zelga there on the Landmo 2 fight. Just missed the first silver arrow, but still got the 1 cycle.
Meanwhile, Shady picking up the book from Trinex. That literacy will go unused this seed. Finishing up Turtle Rock just ahead of Linlinlin, who finished up their own Trinex fight in the time it took me to talk about it.
So this will be a quick Ganon's Tower basement for both Shadyforce and Lin once he gets in there after doing his Hera. Shady's just going to grab the small key from the right to have the extra after picking up the big key. Second try on that.
Yes, indeed. On that Hera pot, I think we were looking at the same thing there. Goomba putting Cold Stare in a corner like a bad little boy. As Zelga takes on the Triple Wizard. Nice triple to end it off there.
So Lin is the last one into Ganon's Tower, but does have nothing left to finish. Still think Goomba will probably finish before Lin there on their team.
Seems likely. It is not a terribly long road to Helmasaur here.
And question in chat, yes, Aga was actually required to get Dark World access this seed. So that's why all of our runners have that done well before finishing Ganon's Tower.
Yes, indeed. Us sadists in chat always hope for an Aga seed, but especially in all dungeons where seeing that Hyrule Tower climb directly after the GT climb just feels like such an anticlimax. I like it this way much better.
And Zelga and Goomba are going to be right on top of each other at this point, but don't forget that Zelga still has that Ice Palace trip to make. So still a pretty solid lead on Goomba's side in front of his counterpart Zelga.
Goomba heading into his Helmasaur fight here with Tempered and Silver. Should make short work of everyone's favorite masked scorpion turtle dinosaur, whatever you want to call him. Zelga heading into that same boss fight right behind him.
Yeah, that's about 20 seconds different between Goomba and Zelga in this particular dungeon.
Yes, indeed. But of course, Zelga still has all of Ice Palace to go. A fairly quick dungeon when you can go mode it, but nonetheless.
And I suspect we will see this save and quit from Goomba as soon as the fanfare is done there for finishing off Palace of Darkness.
And that has Goomba entering his Ganon fight just as Shadyforce is entering his Aga 2. Very close race here today. Lovely double spin off the Trident to open up the fight there on Goomba's side.
It's that mid left in the phase 1, which is my least favorite by far. Oh, just barely gets that blue potion off in time. But Goomba does successfully get the 1-and-1 cycle for the first 2 phases of Ganon.
Shady riding the magical Dark World Duck and entering his own Ganon fight. We'll see if he can do as well.
Textbook first 2 phases from Shadyforce as well.
And Goomba's pig is exploding. He has but to cross the bridge to declare himself the first finisher in today's race. And Goomba finishes with an official racetime.gg time of 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 4 seconds.
And Lin is finishing up his Aga 2 fight right now as Shadyforce is going to dump a couple silver arrows into Ganon. So at the risk of commentator cursing, this one is pretty much in Lin's hands since Zelga is going into the Cold Stare fight as Lin is getting ported to the pyramid. So as long as he does a clean Ganon fight here, last locationers are in a good position to take this one.
Absolutely. It is a low heart green male Ganon fight. These things can turn south surprisingly quickly, but with that tempered sword and with those silver arrows, as long as Linlinlin plays smart and plays safe, they should have it in the bag.
Yeah, and with 36 seconds lead achieved there from Goomba, Lin just has to finish within 36 seconds after Zelga to win, and he is probably going to win this one as he is on to phase 3, the much safer part of this Ganon fight.
Shadyforce, by the way, finished with an official racetime.gg time of 1 hour, 25 minutes, 42 seconds. Linlinlin sending that 4th silver arrow home. Two overlapping Ganon fights. Can't ask for much better. And Linlinlin finishes with an official race time .gg time of 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 38 seconds.
And absolutely get those GGs in chat for the last locationers. Really good run through this seed. Showing off some great execution. Very nice from Zelga here. Oh, gets the triple to finish off Ganon. Ending in style, at least.
Zelga crossing the bridge and closing out our match with a time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 14 seconds. Which, if my Google Foo has not failed me, because I can't do this math myself, that makes the last locationers our winner with an average time between the two of them of 1 hour, 26 minutes, 21 seconds. Coming in less than a minute ahead of the spoilers with an hour, 26 minutes, and 58 seconds.
Yeah, GG's to both teams. This was a really fun race to watch. And we're just in week 1 of the league, so I'm really excited as to what we're gonna see here.
Absolutely, absolutely. What an insane nail biter of a race. And it seems like we are joined by our 4 runners here today. Congratulations, last locationers. How are you feeling about this race?
A bit stressed out.
GG's. Yeah, GG's. This seed was trash, as are most.
Such a dumb seed. It's pretty bad.
It was very bad.
So yeah, maybe the thing on my mind most is after finding those mitts, sort of what was the decision process like for you guys? How much were you thinking about Smith's chain? Sort of what went into those decisions late in the race?
Never. I mean, we talked about it and we said no. Basically.
Pretty much the same over here. Yeah. I was like, man, I could do the Smith chain, or I could just go up Death Mountain and hope the ice rod's there. It's not the Smith chain. Screw the Smith chain. It's never the Smith chain.
Yeah, the only reason I did Pyramid Fairy was to give Lynn time to finish Ice Palace in case the ice shot was in there before I went up the mountain. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, it seemed like both teams, as soon as you had one person who was done with all of their crystals except Turtle Rock, that person was like, okay, I'm going up the mountain now, and I'm sure the ice rod's going to be here.
That was the plan, yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of assume at that point you've cleared the entire freaking game for us. I know Graveyard Ledge was next to last location, next to King's Tomb. So, for us at least. So,
yeah,
we had full cleared everything else. It's like, if we haven't found it yet, it's on the mountain. Just go.
Yeah, Lynn went up to Graveyard Ledge, King's Tomb, Catfish right after we got the mirror, since he had to say and quit to the pyramid anyway. Whereas I went to Swamp Palace.
Yeah, it was, like I said, basically hard last location for us. We knew it was either that or King's Tomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the other big oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the other big decision point was at the very beginning of the race, right, of going into Aga, and then what do you do right after that Aga 1 completion?
Yeah. Yeah, I killed Aga at like the 10-minute mark. It was kind of interesting.
I kind of wanted to do it earlier than I did, but I walked past the Uncle Sword. I only got the Corridor Sword, so I had to double back to that one. And then I was like, well, I'm coming in for half magic, and I could do Aga. I guess I'll steal the key and go to the back. But then I did Aga after that. So it was probably more like the 15-minute mark when I was maybe even getting to Aga, to be honest.
That key, the back of the escape kind of wasn't on mind for a long time, because if the mids were there, like,
yeah,
that would have been very bad.
I didn't think about the key steal until I already did Dark Cross and I was going to get the half magic before Aga. I'm like, oh, maybe I should have done this, huh? Whatever.
Yeah. I knew that Shady had already done the front, so he couldn't get what was back there. But I figure if it was something like a glove or a mirror, that would be huge to have going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
We would have been able to do different things as well instead of both of us running to pod at about the same time, following in each other's footsteps. So
Yeah, I mean, it kind of worked out for us, because I did Aga so early that Lynn still had stuff to do in the light world while I did pod. So it kind of worked out for us that way.
we were too close together, I think, because I delayed as much as I could. I did the water bucket stuff, but then I had to just follow Daga as well because I had nothing left.
Yeah, the timing worked out pretty well for us. I found the flute in pod when Lynn was fighting Aga, so he just came straight to pod.
Yeah, I think what happened with us is just that it seemed like it just kept being where I would find the next piece, and it was a big enough piece that Shady kind of just had to keep following me, like the glove in Thieves Town or something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same here. Pretty much the same.
Yeah, I mean, the seed was super linear up until the myths.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or at least the mirror.
Yeah, this is different than almost any co-op I've done because it was so linear. I feel like I'm pretty good at not stepping on my partner's toes, and it just wasn't an option this time.
Yeah, it was pretty hard too, but I think Lynn and I did a pretty decent job of not being completely on top of each other all the time.
Yeah, I think so as well.
It was definitely pretty entertaining that Lynn's Helmasaur fight, Helma was exploding right as Zelga was running through Spike Cave to get to that mirror. So you guys both got down to that coin flip for that mirror location at about the same time.
Yeah, I mean, when Lynn went to Helmasaur King, we only had Helmasaur, Spike Cave, and Catfish left, and we figured, like, Helmasaur is a check we have to do anyway because we need to kill a boss, so may as well do that first, and then I just went to kill Boffula in the meantime, just to buy Lynn some time, basically.
I basically rushed straight to Catfish after the Thieves Town glove because it was literally the only thing it unlocked since I'd already done Back of Escape. And then I did get Burna on the way, which was Spike Cave, but yeah.
Yeah, I already had Burna, because I did... like, I was ahead of Lynn initially, because I did pod before he did. So I took my hookshot to the mountain, whereas he hookshot it across the skull was in Thieves Town. And then I got done with the mountain and did South Dark World from the pyramid while he was doing Thieves Town, basically.
I would like to give a special would like to give a special shout out to Shady staying under 100 collection. What a gamer.
Turns out you can go fast in these seeds if your partner's Zelga and you get him to do all the work.
This is what I said. The true skill of this mode is just making your partner do all the checks that you don't want to do. You go do Catfish, you know.
Yeah. I mean, the true secret is to just have neither of you do the checks you don't want to do, and then you don't get burned by it. Easy.
I mean, we had the myths when we were in Swamp, so there was like... ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I was not going back into Swamp Palace for one item, screw that. I did do Pyramid Fairy, though.
Did either of you go immediately to left side to get your map and compass like I did?
No.
Oh.
We did not do left side swamp.
Yeah, that actually made a big difference since last location was you guys had the myths knowledge already, so that made left side of swamp seem like a much worse gamble than it did for the spoilers, unfortunately.
Yeah. I did Pyramid Fairy after left side swamp, which is probably a pretty comparable time sink. I don't know if you guys did that.
We did not do Pyramid Fairy, no.
Okay. Yeah, because Lynn was in Ice Palace, and I didn't want to go to the mountain until he was done with Ice Palace in case the Ice Heart was in there, so I just did that to kill some time, basically.
Yeah, I mean, this was an incredibly close match. I mean, about a minute apart on the average at the end of it all. That it could have come down to some decisions like that, like left side of swamp or GT routing. Just a really great race to watch from all four of you.
Yeah, GG's. Thanks for having us and like through commentary, the tracking, restream. Always cool to be kind of showcased.
GG's. It was a very close race. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I was a little scared when I saw Shady's finish, not gonna lie.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to hopefully another very close race. We've got Goomba and Zelga coming back representing their respective teams this coming Saturday, October 24th at 2:10 p.m. So what do you think? You going to make it another close one or just go for a total blowout this time?
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, if
We'll
it's
see,
just
I
as
guess.
linear as this, it'll be just as close, I think. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Hopefully it's not as linear, though. This was kind of silly.
Get to relax and just watch this. This was quite intense. I can put my feet up and watch the restream for that one. That should be good.
All right. Well, I think.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that I think that is going to do it for us. I was going to give one more shout out to our trackers for today, Dark Diplomat and Duodeca. Thank you very much for keeping us on track throughout this match.
Absolutely, and big thanks to the entire Speed Gaming network of channels. There's plenty more Randomizer League action to come. Right now, we've got the 2019 Titans Mitts of 2019 versus OP Got Good on Speed Gaming 2. Later tonight, you can check Seal W versus Wu-Tang Clan on Speed Gaming 4, the Bomb Squad versus Pug Trio on the main Speed Gaming channel, and Double Dippers versus Shack Tools on Speed Gaming 3, all coming up later tonight. We've got the rest of the week's schedule is stacked, followed by 6 more full weeks of league action. Stay tuned, and thank you, everybody. Any final words from our racers?
No, just GG's. Good luck moving forward.
Yep.
And then
Same.
GG's. Good luck in the next one.
see you on Saturday. I mean, I'm not racing, but
Yeah,
I'll be there.
I'll see you there, Zelga.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching. Thanks again to our runners for putting on a great show. And be sure to stick around on Speed Gaming 2 for some more great rando action in ALTTPR League Season 3. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.